Okay. Co, I just want to give some people a little bit of information. The regular township supervisor is out of town and cannot be here tonight. I think this is the first time he's not been here, but so I'm the deputy supervisor for this meeting tonight, and we'll do our best to make it good like we always do. Anyhow, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we need to do a roll call.
Roll call. Am I supposed to say the names?
Yep.
Is that
Yes.
how that works? Okay, so I'm gonna start with, do I just do the trustees? I do everybody, right?
Just the trustees.
Oh, okay. Walter Downer,
Present.
Thomas Sharp,
Here.
Troy Chisana,
Here.
and then I go this way.
Just the supervisor, John West.
John West.
Here.
That's all
Okay.
that's all the voting.
Okay,
Okay, so,
Well, wouldn't you call the roll for Lee, and he would be absent, and...
well, I was
Should be
just gonna
duly
make a
noted.
comment, yeah, that, let's note it that Lee Tracy, the supervisor, is absent, as well as Penelope Tracy, the clerk. And we also have Chris Long, the highway commissioner, Tammy Kavanaugh, the assessor, Van Larson, our attorney, and we have Miss Jennifer Dorn, who's the deputy clerk, sitting in for Penny Tracy. All right. So the minutes, we need an approval for the minutes for July 14th.
So move. Second.
Any discussion?
No. Not for
No
me.
discussion? Okay. Can the clerk please call the roll on the motion?
okay, do I
Accept
have to
the
go
minutes.
through each person?
That you have to go through the
Again?
trustees and
Or-
the supervisor.
Okay, so, Walt,
Yes.
Tom, Miss,
Approve?
Troy,
Yes.
okay, and
Yes,
John.
yes.
Okay, so 4 yeas.
Okay, approved. Approval of the bills to be paid in July. Now, I came in Monday and signed the checks. They're ready to go. They're a little bit behind, but we'll get them out tomorrow. So there was a list of bills to be paid on the table.
Yes.
And she may have sent those out to you guys today, I'm not sure. So we need a motion.
So a motion, who's gonna, yeah,
And motion to approve
A couple
the
new ones that came in.
bills to be paid for July.
We have to have a motion and a second, and we have discussion.
got a motion from Troy.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Troy, second by Tom Sharp, and any discussion?
Can I ask you about road bills real quick? Is that
Mhm.
okay? The Midwest Truckers Association for drug testing, is that for your guys or for the Midwest Truckers Association, or? who's that
Midwest
for?
Truckers Association does the truck testing for Torma.
They do the
We're a
drug testing
member of
for us?
Torma,
It's not-
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like the asphalt guys and you're doing drug testing
No.
for them or something like that.
It's an association,
Yeah,
so it's quite involved, and we're glad to be part of it.
and you gotta do that because of CDL license and all
Yes.
that kinda good stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Did we pass?
So far, everybody's passed.
That's a good thing.
It better
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I know of a situation at another entity where a fellow didn't, that had been there for a number of years. They don't play around. It's like you don't have your job anymore. So, okay. So, we need a roll call.
Okay, Walter,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Troy,
Aye.
John.
Aye. Okay, approval of bills. Okay. Assessors report, Tammy?
Thank you. We have turned in our assessment rolls to the King County Supervisor of Assessments, and we are set to publish assessments on July 21st. And notices will be mailed from the county July 19th. The publication will be in the King County Chronicle. And the only parcels that will be published and/or receive a notice are those that we change in our office. We did receive a county equalization factor of 5.44%. Each parcel in the township gets that factor applied. So it basically balances the township as a whole for assessments. So it equalizes the township. And the deadline to file an assessment appeal will be August 22nd. But as always, we encourage people to call our office. Our number's 879-1323, and our website is bataviatownship.com. And if you click on the assessor tab, there's a property search, so you can look up comps and neighbors if you want, and values. And there's a subscribe button that we have, so you can subscribe to our newsletter, and that's at assessor@bataviatownship.com, and we can get emails through that email address as well. That's pretty much it. So, getting ready to publish. So
So the only thing you published is what you have changed?
what we changed, yes.
What's the purpose of the publication?
During the general reassessment year, which is next year, they're all supposed to be published. I'm not 100% if they still do that, just because of the cost of doing so. But we're really transparent. The county puts them on their website. We're online, so they're on our website.
They're still gonna send everybody notice of what their assessment is.
As long as our office changed it as well. They don't just send out a notice unless we reassessed it for any reason.
So if you haven't reassessed it, you don't have any notice as to what the
Correct.
assessment should be.
Correct. It's basically the taxpayer's responsibility to look up their value. If there's no notice, just go to the website or call. We're always available to talk to you.
So if I want to look up mine, I can go to which website?
bataviatownship.com, our general website, and then click on assessor. And then if you just hover, it'll give you the property search button.
Okay,
And
thank
if you
you.
click on assessor, it'll bring up my picture. And then there's a big box that says subscribe. So you can send comps through that way, either through email or call.
So folks heard that and they can check on it.
Yes. And the King County Supervisor of Assessments handles the publication and the notices. Our office does not. So they oversee all of that. And then there are state guidelines that Mark Armstrong does follow.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Thanks, Tammy. Road Commissioners report, Chris?
This is again, this time of year, we don't have a whole lot to report. There's not a lot going on. We've got paint striping ordered for the roads that are striped. We got Partridge out in off of off of Nelson Lake, that'll be a Surrey coat coming up in the next month or so. And other than that, we're just keeping the roadways clean as we can.
Any other questions for Chris? No? Nope. Thank you, Mr. Long. There really isn't a lot of public here. There's no public. There's a gentleman from BATV, but no other public. Old business. There wasn't anything on in the agenda that Lee had written down to be talked about. Unless anybody else has any old business to talk about, we'll move along. Wants to bring anything up from last meeting or anything? Okay, very good.
Is the car thing a dead subject for the year or what?
There's nothing available through state bid.
Yeah, so we're just gonna leave that alone until that becomes available? Is somebody monitoring that, or where we?
I believe Lee is, but he's,
I thought from the last meeting that he said that it might come up again in August or September,
The new bids.
the new bids,
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. So
Okay.
it would be.
That sounds right, because you mentioned that you
Yeah.
got yours under the old bid, and
Right,
they have to honor that and all that kind of
which is
stuff.
the end of June, so it's,
Okay, very good. Okay, so for new bid, or new business, I'm sorry. I want to report on a little bit from the Ink Board. We had a meeting on June 23rd, at which time Howard Katz was voted in another 4-year term as president of the board, and I was also voted in, they said 4-year, but I thought it was 2-year term as a representative or liaison from the township. And
it seems like it's a 2-year term.
that's what I thought too. So I'm happy to do it, and probably next time somebody else will be asked to move over to the 708 board. And it's just, they meet 4 times a year, once a quarter, for maybe an hour. And it has to do with our monies that the township collects for the mental health in our area. The other thing is, they raised our levy to $438,602 is what they're asking from the township for the next go around.
Is there a method to that figure?
They,
$602?
well, they have a board and they use a percentage each year.
Percentage of what?
A percentage of last year, they add a percentage to it. I'm not sure how they come to that, to be honest with you. But they have some formula that they use.
Is that percentage the same for each township? Within the county, or what?
It might be, but some townships don't have a very big fund, and even if it was the same percentage, theirs would be smaller, obviously.
Just because they don't, yeah, because they're smaller.
Yeah. In fact,
But our fund is set by you guys, so this seems like the tail wagging the dog to me. They are not a levying body to the county treasury.
So it's only a
yes,
request?
they're
Increase?
requesting us to levy that, so I may have spoken out.
And didn't
but-
we,
Well, that term's been used over and over and over again,
Yeah, that's what they're asking us for,
it's a request.
and
but didn't we set that, I thought we set that a couple
We-
meetings ago, right? Or last
we
meeting, or
did.
something
This
like
is for the
that?
next time.
For next year?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're a year ahead of us as
Yeah,
far as that.
their
amount
fiscal year is
concerned.
different than ours.
And do we look at that in terms of, I mean, we've never talked about this levy set thing from them as far as requests before. Do we look
Yeah,
at
Lee
that
usually
when we
brings it up.
manipulate those? Or do we say, we're gonna decide on our own, thank you very much for your offer of how much we ought to give? It sounds like a prayer meeting and this is how much you're supposed to give or something.
Well, this is the amount that what we paid last year is the amount that we agreed upon in our budget,
Right.
this amount they're asking us for, and they have a guideline on
Okay.
how to go about it. And that's what they would like for us to give. And
We did
I'm not
dis-
sure how,
I guess my point is, for this year, we didn't discuss their last year's request. It didn't
Well,
ever come up in the conversation.
That was all
Yeah.
done internal.
So it really doesn't mean,
I-
we don't look at it, we don't talk about it.
We don't even have the CPI for next year's levy yet,
For next year's levy.
which is what they're requesting.
Right.
But we don't give it to them until next year.
Right. But it comes out of your your budget, so
Yeah.
you guys assign those values.
Do they have any
Either-
justification other than arithmetical determination for what they're asking? How do they come up with 400,000?
exactly, I can't tell you. They have a way to do it, and Lee probably knows better than I do.
I think we should invite Howard Katz.
Howard would be able to tell you exactly how it works. Yeah, you would. You
I had to write a
would.
written request.
I just wonder how much influence it has on what we decide. I don't know if that's been answered.
Well, usually it's worked out between the ink board and this supervisor, so I can't tell you exactly. I'm just doing this temporarily for tonight, but
Right. Sure.
he could explain in detail more about
In the
that.
past, the supervisor's always done this, not that that's necessarily the way it
Yeah.
should be done. I think they've asked in the past for some inputs from anybody that wants to look at this stuff and hasn't got much reaction. I think I'd be delighted personally if you guys get involved. Some of the money at the beginning level, so you
Yeah.
aren't just working with a decision that's already been made. That's just my personal feeling. I mean, of course, I have no input.
Is the money that they ask is $478,002 divided up into subgroups as far as who we should give it to as well?
Yeah,
We'll give you numbers.
that's how come they give us these hours or units of service as to who got what. And,
Yeah.
Which facilities did this and
You
that.
told- Yeah, we've
Yeah.
gotten that before.
right, right.
So
Okay.
that's just the whole.
They have usually there's an annual book that comes out that has every detail in it.
Pretty
And,
detailed, too.
and I'm not sure when that was, or is coming, but it's all spelled out in real detail.
It just isn't the first time I've heard of it. And we talked about the budget and we were mulling, well, should we give some more here? Should we
Right.
take some out here? I'm
That-
hoping they
that-
have a little more empirical approach
They
to figuring out where
they-
that money's supposed to go, and we could use that as a guideline.
They do,
Okay.
yes. They've been doing this a lot longer and with a lot more funds than we have
Yeah.
as,
yeah,
as a board. And I brought it up because I'm the liaison, and I just brought it up to the board so we know what's
Yeah.
going on. And there's
But you're saying
all
Lee
the
talks to this guy, to this
the
group.
gal that runs it, yeah,
They
yeah.
kind of
Figure it out.
Delilah's her.
come to a consensus of what
Yeah.
we're gonna do anyway. Okay.
And there's 8 people on the board, and they're all from Batavia. So, well, it's a local 708 board, so it's people from
Good line to
different,
share.
yeah, doctor, a couple of PhDs, so it's,
Well, it's for Batavia.
yeah. So I'm hearing the next liaison asking questions, I think. The 708 board. You got 2 years to practice. You got 2 years to practice.
No good deed goes unpunished. You know? Ask a question.
No, I've done it a few times, so. Anyway, they do not own any property anymore. They are actually renting. The board did not want to be in the real estate business and didn't want to be owners of property. So they've sold everything, they got it in different accounts, and they are renting space now.
This is just office space we're talking about?
Yes.
Where they
There's
meet
3
at?
people in a small office area. They meet in an office over by Hope Dewall School. That whole block of buildings there was owned by the 708 board. And then there's a fellow from Batavia, T.J. Vaughn. He is the Inc. board president, Dr. T.J. Vaughn. So he's been on it for a long time. So that's the report from the Inc. board that I have. I also want to bring up in this month's magazine perspective that we got for July and August, there is going to be an in-person educational conference this year, November 13th through the 15th. And I'm sure Lee will bring it up later as to who wants to go, who wants to attend, and get a number. So they usually, whoever attends, he usually gets the reservations made for that. So a little notification ahead of time. Also, the vote for approval for the intergovernmental agreement with Aurora Township for general assistance. There has been an agreement made, and that is on the table. I think everyone may have that by now, but here's the first page. And the highlighted area is what Van had asked for last month about insurance issues, property damage and whatnot. So they've highlighted that. They've come up with a $3 million number, and certificates will be provided. So everything he talked about last year, our last meeting, is in this agreement, along with that additional addendum. And we need to vote on that tonight.
I take it this has been through Van and he approves it?
It was my suggestion. I'd sent Lee a more detailed intrinsic example, but the primary concern was in my mind, was the insurance. So it appeared that not wanting to recreate the wheel or the 10 commandments, that would seem to have solved the issue. Actually, the city of Aurora provided that template, and that was an add-on that I had suggested. It certainly could say more, but I think it pretty much covers it, the basics of it, at least for some simplicity purposes.
And how long does this last?
Is this per year?
Until revoked by, and there's no
To take it away?
provision for it. Either party can, it's without the specific term, can be terminated by mutual agreement or unilaterally with notice.
Well, if we can terminate it unilaterally, we start to see things we don't like, we can get out of it.
If you don't want it,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll move to approve the intergovernmental agreement as proposed.
I'll second it. Okay, moved by Donna, seconded by Tusana. Any more discussion?
It says the rate is $75 per month per case for the first month, and $50 for each additional month. How many cases do we have per year?
I think the last meeting that we had, Lee said there were 4 the whole last year.
Okay, so it's not a whole lot.
No, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, there was 1 case, and they're gonna pay on it if this passes tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Clerk call the roll, please.
Walter,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Troy,
Aye.
John.
Aye. Okay, that being taken care of, then I just have one other item. The budget will be complete and printed by next month's meeting, with Lee being out of town for some time and a new person doing the clerk's work through a third-party person. They haven't got it official yet, so it will be done by next meeting.
I'm confused with that one, a new person doing the clerk's work?
Well,
They
the clerk was using a different software than the new temporary clerk was using. So
Is this the new temporary clerk?
No.
the temporary clerk right now is Jennifer.
Okay, let's use some names so I don't
Je-
get too confused.
Okay, Jennifer.
We have two Jennifers.
There's two Jennifers. I'm not that Jennifer.
Okay,
That doesn't help you
So
either, does it?
Lee's
Yeah.
assistant or?
It's Jennifer
Stern.
Lee.
Yeah.
right?
Jennifer
So
Lee.
it's- I'm assuming it's family.
yeah, you said right. So they took all the data from the old software and they're converting it and dumping it into new software, and they're just trying to iron out the bugs. So they got everything perfect and everything 100% legit, printed out properly. So that's the thing.
And that hasn't happened yet, but will happen by next meeting. It's
Yes.
anticipated.
Yes.
And who's doing that? Jennifer, or she hired somebody?
She's got somebody helping her.
That's Heather.
Yeah.
Her name is Heather, and what they said was the main issue was that the typical conversion tools did not work for a seamless transition, probably because we were combining 3 separate files into one more comprehensive file. So that's what they're working on.
So they went from a QuickBooks in-house system to a QuickBooks cloud system.
What's the difference there, other than where the data is stored?
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like anything's gonna change.
Usually that
It
stuff
do-
is transparent.
Yeah,
You go
well-
to the cloud.
Bank feeds didn't carry into the check numbers. Various attempts led to duplications. None of the import tools would transfer complete details for each transaction.
It could have been an old QuickBooks software that was how far behind, and then to bring it to the cloud,
Yeah.
it made it just.
Updated last year.
Yeah.
Oh, it was?
Mhm.
Okay, then I don't, I'm sorry, I said.
It's okay.
Giving them the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah.
The thing is, that's screwed up. Why even change? Was it not?
Well,
working?
it's more open to go to the cloud than it is just to have it here
Open.
in office.
Open for who?
The budget, for everyone. Anybody who wants to look up the budget.
You're not gonna have people looking up the budget in a bookkeeping system. It doesn't belong there.
Okay, well. It's easier to work through it in the cloud than it is to work at it. It's stored on this PC.
That's been my experience.
I think a lot of it too was in Excel. I think a lot of the data was transferred into Excel, so they had to pull it from
The only thing that
Yeah.
got transferred into Excel were those spreadsheets that I asked for every month. So we had 20 numbers you had to type in manually a month.
I just,
It's okay.
no, it's, I've seen.
Obviously, we
I've
do not
seen
have the
some.
answers as to why there is a
I don't have those
disconnect
answers,
between all the little budgets that we're trying to put together.
other than what was, what this gal had provided on this text. So, but it's expected to be completed before next month's meeting. Okay, that brings us to trustee reports. Anybody?
This is open discussion, so I'll bring up a subject. Is it for sure now that Jennifer Lee is taking the position as secretary to Lee?
My understanding is she's temporary and that she's just here to help out for a while until such time things get ironed out one way or the other. I don't think she's a permanent.
And the
full-
ironing
full-time.
out is for Layla to get onto disability, is that correct? And that Lee
I don't
cannot
really know
do
how all that's
anything-
going.
Lee cannot do anything permanent until such time? Would that be a correct statement?
It could be.
Could be, I
Yeah.
would say.
Okay. This is so, I'm going to address the 500-pound gorilla in the room and talk about nepotism. Of hiring Lee's granddaughter, is it? Or daughter?
Daughter.
For the secretary position. We're not discussing this, and I think we should.
I think that's a fair statement, but I can't give you any more information than that right now. I don't know any, and
Well, okay, so let me ask this as a different question then. As trustees of the township, do we approve the hiring of his secretary?
I don't
No.
think so. He
No.
has control over everything.
he has control over his own office.
Okay, so it's...
Neither do we have any control over dismissal.
Right, and we made that very clear when we were going through that process.
Right.
So really, underneath that jurisdiction, we don't have anything to say about it. Would that be a true statement? And I'll address that to you, Van.
True.
That is true. He's, just like Chris, the road commissioner, is the head kahuna.
Right.
Same thing with the supervisor. Not saying that the trustees could not or should not have a voice concern, and it certainly can be raised, but when the dust settles, that's his call.
Okay.
From my understanding, he couldn't find anyone to fill that position.
Did he
during that
advertise
time.
it?
I honestly can't answer that, but that's just what we were told.
What's that position pay? That's a per hour position, isn't it?
I would say so, probably.
It's got to be a per hour position. But it may be all a moot point if we don't have any influence upon it.
So if you did have some influence, what would your position be?
I would question the nepotism. I would question whether it was advertised. I would question whether or not other persons were interviewed for the job. I would question whether or not we're getting the best person we can get for the position.
I think all of those are fair subjects to lay on the table when Lee gets back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there as well. I for one, when there's an opening, I think it should be advertised. That's my own personal opinion.
Right.
I agree.
And
I agree.
but that's where I'm going to leave it for my comments.
It's hard to find good help though these days.
Well, depending on how much that position pays,
True.
you know, I don't know how much it pays. Is that's considered a full-time position, right?
I don't.
It's got benefits. It's got.
Not if you're temporary.
I think
Is it
I think
considered
it's,
temporary?
4 days a week.
Yeah, I think it's
So it's not
temporary.
full-time.
Well,
She was salaried.
It's a salary position, not an hourly
It
position.
was a salary position.
I believe she's working Thursdays and Fridays, but she might be working more to help with,
You mean
You're talking
The
Jennifer.
temporary time period.
temporary.
You're talking about time period.
oh,
Okay.
yeah. she
But the
was
regular
salaried.
position is salary?
It was salary.
Okay. And he has a choice of changing that to hourly? Is that why you say it that way?
Layla was salary.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I understand your issues and your concerns. I shouldn't say issues, but I think we should really talk to Lee about that.
yeah, and I don't
Because we
want
don't really
to
have all
ambush
those
him either.
answers.
You know, I don't want
Yeah, I
to.
know.
Well, let's put it on the agenda. That way-
Bring it up in a
30
professional
days notice.
manner.
Yeah,
He's
but-
got an open door policy. Anybody can come in and talk to
Yeah.
him about it anytime. So
Yeah, but I don't think we'll have any say in it anyhow.
You're right. We can't, it's not something we vote on, right?
No,
It's his
no,
decision.
no, it's his, like Van said, it's his office.
Yeah.
He does what he wants.
I would just, with Penny being on as the secretary and now is
But that's an elected position, so.
Yeah, that's not much we could do about it.
Yeah, but she was appointed originally too. She was not elected from the beginning. I mean, it's becoming the Lee family township as far as the actors in place
And
here.
everything that we used to do was being dismembered and farmed out.
Yeah, yeah.
We used to hold that all in-house. We used to have our books all in-house. We used to know every month exactly where every penny was.
Yep, yeah, and we're taking these case things and giving them to Aurora, which is one less thing that we're not doing.
And they do things differently than we do.
Yeah, and we don't have as much control over
We don't have
them.
any control over
Who was doing that before?
Aurora, no, we were doing them in-house.
Layla, that was part of her job.
Oh, that was
General
part of her
it. She was
assistance.
general assistant, and she was good at it.
So we can bring that conversation up with Lee. If you want to have a private conversation with him, we can't do that.
Yeah, right, right.
You can certainly ask him.
I guess I raised and you emphasized it, is how much advertising was given for the position to be filled? Are we getting the best person we can to fill that position? I don't know what her experience is in order to fill that position. I don't. Is there somebody else that was a secretary that would do a better job? I don't know. It just seems like it's under the radar again, and I don't like that too much.
I take your point. Anybody else?
Mr. Larson, being our favorite counsel, how would you approach this, sir?
With trepidation.
Okay? In terms of it's none of our business, and we shouldn't be influencing or being involved with it?
You have the right to make it your business, but ultimately, when it comes, you can bring this up, trustees can, if it's gonna be on the agenda, I think it probably should be on the agenda, so that everybody knows what's up at the same time. And there's not a piecemeal, individual repartee that one person is hearing or doing something and the other person isn't.
So that would exclude private conversations to make it more transparent of what's going on.
Well, I mean, if anybody, it's to the best of my knowledge, it's only 4 days, it's still a free country, so you can have a conversation with anybody that you want anywhere, it's free speech. But ultimately, I do believe, my opinion is that you should, if you want to address it, it should be addressed at a meeting. If you want to address it individually,
I'd like to.
that's an opportunity.
You're absolutely right, and I think that would make it more open and transparent. I'd like to make a
You can't
motion.
violate the Open Meetings Act.
I'd like to make a motion to have this on the agenda for the next meeting and to discuss what approaches were made in the hiring process in terms of advertising, interviews, qualifications.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have,
And get confirmation as to the current, I mean, my thought would be, and frankly, I don't know. I don't know what is going, I don't know what the situation exactly at all is with Layla. I don't know what the salary is for the clerk. I don't know what the I think certainly the trustees would have should have the opportunity to know exactly who's being paid what and how much, and what, who's being paid what for what.
Jennifer, can you add that to the motion as well?
Well, we gotta vote on it.
Include those things?
we got,
I feel like I stepped into it here.
You feel you're
Not like
sharing
this
over.
stuff.
don't write all that down. We'll make a motion for discussing
Okay,
The
motion to
discussion
add
of
to agenda
hiring-
for next meeting.
Yeah,
Compensation.
and compensation. They're
Just gonna
Usually
watch
every
this
month,
stuff.
there's a line item that tells
Right.
each person how much they got paid, what their benefits were, what
Right.
the insurance and all that stuff was. And we're still gonna have that information. We just don't have it at this meeting because we had a temporary person and he's not here. But we've had it at all the meetings.
You're right, you're right. We always get that.
Yeah. So it's not like we don't
IMRA,
know what's
the whole
going
thing.
on. We know exactly to the penny what each person's.
So it'd be compensation, I put qualification, advertising, interviews performed.
And I'm also going to add what Van just stated. I'm not sure if some of this is pending what's going on, if anything still with
Layla?
Layla.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we have a motion on, so we need to vote for it.
Okay. Walter,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye?
Troy,
Aye.
John.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Tom. That's it? Okay, wonderful. Supervisors report. I think I said pretty much everything I wanted to in new business. We don't have a next meeting date, but it's going to be the second Tuesday of August.
Ninth?
Yeah, which would be the 9th
Really,
at 7 o'clock down here. And I would just like to thank everybody for having a nice meeting and asking some constructive questions. And while my one-day term for assistant worked out, and I appreciate all you guys do, and you're donating, you're giving your time for the township. Thank you.
I move that we adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. See you next time.
Where's the gavel?